All right, first-time buyers, we have some good news if you're purchasing a property in British Columbia. All first-time buyers who are in British Columbia and who qualify for the Property Transfer Tax Exemption are now eligible for a property tax exemption rebate up to a new purchase price of $835,000 with a sliding scale up to $860,000. If you don't already know, my name is Alex McFadyen and I'm a mortgage professional, own a company and focused on real estate investing and helping our clients with mortgage financing. If you haven't done so already, hit that link, the subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next video. Now let's explain exactly what this means. So first and foremost, if you're a first-time homebuyer in BC and you're eligible, which means you've lived in BC for 12 months and or paid taxes in British Columbia in the last year, there are some other eligibilities to look out for. You in fact would be eligible for an exemption to paying property transfer tax on your first owner-occupied property that you're buying in BC. Now, this only applies if you are in fact a first-time buyer. You couldn't have purchased a property somewhere else in Canada to qualify. Now, how does exemption work? Well, it's relatively actually simple. Typically, you have to pay a property transfer tax in British Columbia, and that transfer tax is 1% of the first 200 grand and 2% for anything above that. And then when you get up to 3 million, another 2% on top of that. Though we doubt most first-time buyers are purchasing a property over 3 million, we'll focus it down on the exemptions. Now, historically speaking, the transfer tax exemption was in the past originally up to $450,000, and then in the late 2018-2019 timeline, the transfer tax exemption was moved up to $500,000, and in 2024 it was moved up to $835,000. It's important to note that this is a partial exemption. So here's actually how it works. If you were to purchase a property for $835,000 in BC, you would have to pay a property transfer tax, which would be the equivalent to $14,700. Now, with this new exemption, you are actually exempt from $8,000 of that tax, which is the equivalent to the first 500 grand, which means in the end, although you still have to pay a transfer tax, you would end up only paying $6,700, which is an $8,000 savings. This is great news because that means that you can put more money towards fixing the house, renovating, or just get into the market sooner because you don't need as much money to purchase a property. Now, a couple notes. There is what's called a sliding scale, which means you get a partial rebate after $835,000, but below $860,000. And so if you're looking at a scale, the best way to explain this is that at $835, you get 100% of that 8 grand rebate, and then $860,000, you get 0% of that rebate. And that scale actually slides down as the purchase price inclines. So if you're right smack dab in the middle between $835 and $860, you would get 50%, $4,000 rebate on your transfer tax. A couple other things that you need to know is that you need to be a permanent resident of Canada to be able to get this transfer tax. Although, if you do get your permanent residency within 12 to 18 months as of today, you can apply for an exemption refund with the BC government, and they will advise you whether or not you are eligible for it. Outside of that, the transfer tax exemption, there is nothing you really need to do other than notify your notary or lawyer at the closing office to let them know that you're eligible so that they can fill out the appropriate forms and submit that to the government. This will mean that you just don't have to pay. There's not a refund. It's just purely an exemption if you fully qualify. So we do believe that this is a good move for the BC government, thankfully eliminating a tax for those that want to get in, need to get into the marketplace. A couple of questions. How did they land on $835,000? And why not just make it up to $1 million? And or why the sliding scale for this small period of time? Nonetheless, we're going to applaud a good move. So we highly recommend as much as possible to try to take advantage of this if you're in the price point of looking at real estate. All in all, again, good news. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, click, subscribe, and follow. We'll see you on the next one.